Today we are going to be putting together a single eyeshadow comp palette for the new Natasha Denona Mini Bronze Palette, and it's a Sydney Grace exclusive, so if you guys are looking to pick up some shadows, I'll have them swatched out for you here. I'll also show you how I achieved this bronzy look, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm Kendra Morgan Official, and I like to put out content centered around single eyeshadows. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're interested in that type of content. Let's get started. Got for you all 5 shadows here that kind of dupe the vibes, give the blessings of the Natasha Denona Bronze Palette. So we will be looking at some swatches, in-depth swatches, and then also I did grab some of these shadows out. And my son so wonderfully suggested that I put this shadow in for the shimmery shade. And to be 100% honest, I think he might be right. It might actually be a mixture of the two together. So stay tuned for that. You'll want to see that. Let's go ahead and get into the eyeshadows. I picked all Sydney Grace shadows for this particular collection with the up and coming Christmas and July sale. You guys might need to be adding some things to your cart to get to a certain level, so you might be interested in what types of shadows you can purchase to get your deal. So starting off with the first shadow in the palette, in Natasha Denona's Mini Bronze Palette. The shade is 435 Creamy Matte, and its shade name is Russet. And the Sydney Grace shadow that I picked out is Lords a Leaping. It's a nice, dark, rich brown with a reddish purple undertone to it, and it's nice for deepening up the outer V. It's a really great lash line if you wanted to do that. Very, very beautiful. Next up, the shade 104 Creamy Matte Flash, which is actually found in the Natasha Denona Star Palette. This is a repeat shade. I use Sydney Grace's Camel for that. It's a rich nude shadow is what I would call it. It leans a little bit more warmer than it does neutral, but it is a creamy beige. Very beautiful, wonderful transition for lighter skin tones, and a nice blending shadow for some of those other golden shades that she has featured in this. Next, Gobi or Joby, which is 436 Creamy Matte in the Natasha Denona Mini Bronze, and for that I chose the shade Red Start, which doesn't actually look very red. It's got a nice red undertone. It is a beautiful matte orange with it does have a strong pink red undertone to it. You can kind of see it, well, maybe not strong, but you can kind of see that there is a red undertone. Then I had to go with this shadow. If you've been with my channel for any time now, you know that this shadow makes its way into dupe palettes, whether it dupes the vibes or not, because it's one of my favorite Sydney Grace shadows of all time. It is Bronze to Perfection. It is not one of the traditional formulas of Sydney Grace. She has a couple of these, and I'll feature the other shadow that was right next to it in my collection, but this is Bronze to Perfection. Very creamy bronze, I mean, just like it says, bronze, champagne-y. It's got a lot of texture to it, and it's very, I wouldn't say sparkly, but very pigmented, and it does have a nice beautiful texture to, you know, a lid, and it brings a nice texture to a look. So I thought that that was really important to put in this palette, just for the simple fact that you're getting 4 mattes and only 1 shimmer. I kind of feel like you need a little bit of something besides just a nice strong shimmer pigment. So that's what I chose. My son, however, said that I should put in the shade Blaze, and I have to admit it's a little more coppery. It leans a little more red toned, but if you are a little bit deeper in skin tone, you got a little melanin to you, this is the shade I would substitute in my Sydney Grace shopping cart or add to as well. And when you mix the shadows, they look really beautiful together, but also it is a little bit more pronounced for deeper skin tones, and I think it shows up very beautifully. On the back of my hand, I have been getting a little bit more sun, so it's going to be a little bit darker, and you can see that it gives a nice golden copper shimmer glow to the skin. Very elegant this time of year for, you know, those of you folks who like to live in the sun. It's just really, really nice. So that's an alternative if you're a little bit deeper in skin tone, or something that you can also add to your list if you're shopping and perusing the Cindy Grace website and for the Christmas and July sale. Lastly, let's go into one of my favorite matte shadows of all times by Cindy Grace, and it is Harvest. It is a creamy matte reddened, burnt reddened shadow. It's very terracotta in tone. Absolutely looks so beautiful against blue and green eyes. Really just brings out our you know, blue, because it is a contrasting color. So, and then that red is kind of the way I like to wear reds. So like a burnt red, a burnt orange shadow. It's kind of, you know, I've been swatching these as we are getting the formal swatches put in there too. It's really just very, very doable. It's not something that I don't feel like this overly, you know, overpowers anything else. I did compare it with a nude lip, but I still feel like you could go with a bold dark lip, and this could also be paired with something for the fall as well. So hope you guys liked those swatches. Let's go ahead and get into how I achieved this look. Cindy Grace 5 brush. This is kind of like an angled detailer. Dipping into the shade Red Start right here. They just don't quite fit into a Natasha Denona palette. They're like a millimeter off. Just kind of packing this on the crease and blending out. Just kind of blend this out. Next up with the Cindy Grace E04, dip into Lords of Leaping and pack that a little bit lower in the crease and form that depth for the halo eye. I feel like the undertone really suits the shadow in the Natasha Denona Mini Bronze. Boy, there's just no escaping a very bronze look. I mean, you are getting exactly what is being advertised. This is a little bit darker, so I have to pack just a little bit more. It's not extremely patchy, but you do have to blend a little bit. Backing out with the Cindy Grace E05, pick up just a little bit more of that Red Start and blend up and around. Probably gonna go ahead and finish up this eye, and then I'll do this eye off camera. Hey Ben, don't hurt your brother, please. Go back in, re-intensify with the Lords of Leaping on this inner portion. On both the inner and the outer, actually. I would really love to just pack that all over. Then I'm just grabbing a fluffy blending brush. This is the Makeup Forever 242. Blend around the edges. Actually, I shall dip into Camel, just lightly, and buff around these edges. So we have a seamless transition. Grab a little bit of this glitter adhesive on the back of my hand and just with my finger tap a little bit of that into place, because the Bronze to Perfection is a little bit more textured. It's a little bit more flaky. Grabbing the Sydney Grace 06 brush here, pick up that Bronze to Perfection shadow and tap it all over. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. See, it really picks up a lot. Oh, it's all over my cheek. That's all right. And just pat it all over the center of the eye. Go back in with Sydney Grace E04, and again, I'm going to intensify the brown into the Bronze to Perfection. Actually want to take a little bit of this Harvest shade, which would be the last shade to the right, and grab some of it and just pat it around the Bronze to Perfection and the Lords of Leaping shadow. Just kind of marry the two in so there's not as steep of a gradient. Yeah, I think that's going to look a lot better. Ooh. Got it pretty deep in here. Just grab just a little bit on my fingertip and go over that shade because it's really pigmented. Okay, the Bronze to Perfection is too dark to be used as a brow bone highlight for my skin tone, I feel like, but I'm pretty pleased with the look. I do want to grab a little bit of that, is it Red Start? No, it's Harvest, this shade. Yeah, I get Harvest and Red Start mixed up, and just come down here underneath and smoke out the lower lash line. And then to blow that out, grab a little bit of that Camel, mix it with the Red Start. Let me just show you. Mixing a little bit of Camel, a little bit of Red Start. Just dip back and forth into both, tap off excess, and then just kind of blend outward. And bring it up and around as well. I think it looks okay on camera. Off camera, I'm going to touch up this part in here. It looks kind of like there needs to be a little bit more mixed or blending going on. But it looks really nice. I am not using any fake lashes today because I feel like this is an eyeshadow palette for a more everyday, you know, work appropriate. So I will, however, use some eyeliner. Makeup Geek's Brown. Let's go ahead and tightline this upper portion. And then I am going to go ahead and just smudge a little bit right there on that lash line, so it's a little bit darker. Okay, finishing off with a coat of mascara. I am on my last Makeup Geek tube. I really like it. I have not been keeping up with the trends, but before this I did use the Lash Princess, and it seems like it's still going strong in the beauty community. And for today's look, I am going to go ahead and just do a little bit of mascara underneath the lash line as well. Normally I don't, but today I will, just because I want it to be a little bit more pronounced. Let me go ahead and jump off camera. I'm going to do the rest. I'm going to do the other side, and we'll come back for the final look. And this is the completed look. I did have to add quite a bit more of the Harvest shadow, that last shadow to the right of the Biba comp palette here with the Sydney Gray shadows, just to be able to blend in that Lords of Leaping the kind of the way that I wanted it to look. But it definitely came across as very bronzy, to no surprise. So thanks so much for watching. If you find value in this content, please be sure to subscribe and like this on your way out. I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. Bye.